The bitter wind howled through the narrow alley, sending shivers down Evelyn's frail frame. Her eyes, once filled with warmth and love, were now clouded with hurt and confusion. The dim street lamp cast long shadows. Evelyn clutched her bag tightly, her heart heavy with the weight of rejection. The creaking door behind her sealed the finality of her expulsion from the only home she had ever known. Her son, Charles, stood in the doorway, a stern expression on his face. He tossed a few crumpled bills onto the ground before her, the currency of dismissal. It was a pitiful gesture, as though her years of sacrifice were worth no more than spare change.
"Mum,"
Charles spat out, his voice tinged with impatience.
"You're old now. We can't have you living with us. It's embarrassing and we need to move on with our lives. You're a burden, making things awkward for us with our friends and colleagues. Take this money and find somewhere else to live."
Evelyn stared at her son, her eyes moist with unshed tears. "Dear son," she whispered, her voice quivering with a mixture of sorrow and disbelief. "I raised you, cared for you through sickness and health. I never expected this from you, my child, to be cast away like an unwanted relic." Charles shrugged, callously avoiding her gaze.
"It's just the way it is, Mum. You can't stay here."
Evelyn picked up the crumpled bills from the ground, the cold metal of her wedding ring pressing into her palm. She held the meagre offering in her hands, a pitiful symbol of ingratitude. "I took care of you for all these years, and now, in my twilight years, you discard me like yesterday's news. Is this the reward for a lifetime of love and sacrifice?" Charles turned away, unable to meet his mother's eyes.
"It's for the best, Mum. You'll find somewhere to go with that money."
Evelyn took a deep breath, her shoulders slumping under the weight of abandonment. "I never thought I'd see the day when my flesh and blood would cast me away. But I'll go, Charles. I'll go and find a corner of this cruel world to call my own. Just remember, a mother's love is unconditional, even if a son's isn't." She turned away, the echoes of the slamming door behind her mingling with the sobs that racked her fragile form. The cold streets embraced her like an unwelcome companion, and Evelyn, abandoned and alone, began her journey into the unforgiving unknown. Evelyn trudged through the city streets, her worn-out shoes scraping against the cold pavement. The crumpled bills her son had tossed at her now clutched tightly in her hand. She approached one apartment after another, seeking refuge, but the doors remained closed, and the faces behind the peepholes turned her away.
"I'm sorry, ma'am, we're not looking for anyone right now." Sorry, but we can't accommodate someone your age."
The rejection cut through Evelyn's spirit like 1,000 knives. She was an inconvenience, an unwanted relic in a society that valued youth and productivity. With each refusal, her hope dwindled and the weight of despair settled on her shoulders. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows on the deserted streets, Evelyn found herself wandering. The city, once familiar and comforting, now seemed like an alien landscape. She felt the gnawing emptiness of hunger and the biting cold of the night, a stark reminder of her vulnerability. With no place to go, Evelyn decided to join the ranks of those who sought shelter on the unforgiving streets. She watched as the city lights flickered to life, casting a harsh glow on the makeshift cardboard shelters that dotted the sidewalks. The rhythmic hum of the city became a lullaby for the homeless, a lullaby that couldn't drown out the ache of Evelyn's heart. Her eyes fell upon a group of fellow destitute souls, huddled together for warmth. Among them was a young lady with eyes that held a glimmer of kindness, a stark contrast to the harsh reality surrounding them. The two women exchanged silent nods, a silent acknowledgement of their shared struggle. Night settled in, and the cold seeped through the cracks in the cardboard walls of Evelyn's makeshift home. She lay there, her body shivering, her stomach growling in protest. Beside her, the young lady, a fellow beggar, shared the same sparse shelter. "I'm Rosa," the young lady whispered, breaking the silence. "Why are you out here, ma'am?" "Evelyn," she replied, her voice barely audible. "I have nowhere else to go. My son turned me away." Rosa's eyes widened in disbelief. "That's cruel." "I'm out here because my family couldn't afford to keep me. We barely make ends meet, but I've learnt to survive." The night wore on, and the conversations in the makeshift shelter became a symphony of shared pain and resilience. Evelyn listened to stories of shattered dreams and lost hope, finding solace in the camaraderie of the destitute. As the night progressed, Rosa offered Evelyn a meagre portion of the food she had managed to beg for herself. The taste of the stale bread and a few crumbs was a banquet to Evelyn's empty stomach. The act of kindness rekindled a spark in Evelyn's weary eyes. "Thank you, Rosa," Evelyn whispered, tears glistening in the corners of her eyes. "You've shown me kindness in a world that's turned its back on me." Rosa smiled, a gentle warmth in her eyes. "We're in this together, Evelyn. Tomorrow you'll have to find your path, but tonight we're companions in this struggle." The night was long, filled with the sounds of the city and the shared breaths of the downtrodden. Evelyn lay there, contemplating the twists of fate that had led her to this moment. The shed, with its holes and insects, became a haven of shared humanity, a place where two souls found solace amid adversity. Morning broke and Evelyn rose with the first light, her heart heavy with gratitude. She turned to Rosa, who was already preparing to face another day of begging. "Thank you, my dear," Evelyn said, her voice filled with a mix of sorrow and appreciation. "You've been a blessing amid the storm. I'll find my way now, but I won't forget the kindness you've shown me." Rosa nodded, her eyes reflecting a wisdom beyond her years. "Take care, Evelyn. May your journey lead you to a better place." With a parting embrace, Evelyn left the shelter, carrying with her the weight of the night and the resilience born from shared struggle. The city unfolded before her, its streets paved with hardship and hope. Evelyn walked away, her steps guided by an uncertain future, but her heart warmed by the fleeting connection with a kindred spirit in the shadows of the city. The market bustled with activity as Evelyn made her way through the crowded stalls and bustling shops. Her tired eyes scanned each storefront, hoping for a sign that someone might offer her a chance, a way to lift herself from the harsh reality of the streets. Shop after shop, she faced rejection. "We're not hiring," they would say. "We need someone younger," others would mutter dismissively. The weight of her predicament grew heavier with each passing door, but she pressed on, determined to find a glimmer of opportunity in the sea of closed doors. As she wandered deeper into the market, the aroma of food wafted through the air, drawing her towards a bustling hotel. A sign caught her eye. "Help wanted, dishwasher needed for 2 days, $10 an hour." Hope flickered within her as she approached the entrance, her weathered hands gripping the crumpled bills from the night before. With a hesitant smile, Evelyn entered the hotel, her eyes scanning the room for the manager. She spotted a stern-faced woman behind the reception desk, and with a deep breath she approached. "Excuse me, ma'am," Evelyn began, her voice trembling but determined. I saw the sign about needing a dishwasher. I'm willing to work, please. I need this." The manager studied Evelyn for a moment, her gaze piercing yet contemplative. 2 days, $10 per hour. Can you handle it?" Evelyn nodded earnestly. "Yes, ma'am, I can handle it. I'll do my best." The manager sighed, relenting to the desperation in Evelyn's eyes. Fine, follow me, I'll show you where you'll be working. Evelyn's heart swelled with gratitude as the manager led her through the bustling corridors of the hotel. They entered the kitchen, a hive of activity with chefs orchestrating a symphony of sizzling pans and clattering dishes. This is where you'll be, the manager said, pointing towards a mountain of dirty dishes waiting to be cleaned. Evelyn nodded, her determination shining through. Thank you, ma'am. I won't let you down. As she scrubbed away at the mountain of dishes, the kitchen staff exchanged curious glances. A few waiters approached, striking up conversations with the elderly dishwasher.
Why are you here, washing dishes at your age?
One of the waiters asked, genuine concern in his eyes. Evelyn paused, wiping her hands on her apron. I need the work. My own family turned me away. This is the only way I can survive. The waiter shook his head in disbelief.
It's not right. You shouldn't be in this position.
The chefs, overhearing the conversation, chimed in with empathy and compassion. The kitchen became a place of shared stories, a temporary respite from the harsh realities outside. As the clock neared 11 p.m., the manager approached Evelyn, watching her diligent work. You've done well today, she acknowledged. What time did you start? 10 a.m., Evelyn replied, her hands still submerged in soapy water. The manager nodded. That's 13 hours today. We open early tomorrow. Be here at 8 a.m. Evelyn's tired eyes brightened with gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. The manager handed her an envelope and Evelyn opened it to find crisp bills. $130 for the day's labour. Tears welled up in her eyes as the weight of the earnings settled in. Rest up, the manager advised. Tomorrow's a new day. As Evelyn left the hotel, the kitchen staff exchanged glances filled with a mix of sympathy and admiration. The night air was cool and the city lights cast long shadows on the pavement. As she walked away from the hotel, the waiters and chefs gathered, sharing their thoughts on the elderly woman who had found herself washing dishes late into the night. As they exited the hotel, the city's nightlife unfolded before them, a vibrant tapestry of lights and sounds. The group of waiters and chefs gathered outside, their breath visible in the chilly night air. The topic of conversation, however, revolved around the elderly woman they had encountered that day. Evelyn, the dishwasher. Tony, a seasoned waiter with a salt and pepper beard, voiced his concerns first.
Did you guys see that old lady in the kitchen, washing dishes at her age? It just doesn't sit right with me.
Samantha, a young chef with tattoos peeking out from under her sleeves, chimed in. I get that she needs the money, but it's heartbreaking to see someone like her working so hard just to survive. What is the world coming to? Robert, a waiter known for his witty remarks, interjected.
Well, we're not running a charity here. The manager probably needed someone and she needed to work. Simple as that.
Samantha crossed her arms, a frown creasing her forehead. Sure, but it's not that simple. She's someone's mother. Maybe even a grandmother. She should be enjoying her retirement, not scrubbing dishes at this hour. Tony nodded in agreement.
Exactly. It makes you wonder about the state of things. How did she end up in this situation?
The group fell into a thoughtful silence, each contemplating the circumstances that might have led Evelyn to that kitchen sink. As they walked through the quiet streets, passing by closed shops and deserted sidewalks, the debate continued. Robert, ever the pragmatist, argued,
Look, life's tough. Maybe her family can take care of her. At least she's trying to make ends meet, unlike some people on the streets.
Samantha shook her head. But it shouldn't be this way. We're surrounded by luxury and excess every day in the hotel. It just feels wrong that someone like her has to work so hard just to scrape by. As they approached the subway station, the debate turned into a heartfelt conversation. Emily, a soft-spoken chef, spoke up. I spoke to her during the lunch rush. She mentioned her family turned her away. Can you imagine your own family treat you like that? Tony sighed, his expression sombre.
It's a sad reality for some, I guess, but what can we do about it?
Samantha looked at her colleagues with determination. Maybe we can do something. We see her every day. We know she needs the money. We could pull some cash, buy her a warm meal, or find her a place to stay. Robert chuckled, raising an eyebrow.
Playing heroes, are we? We're not her family and we can't fix the world's problems.
Tony placed a hand on Samantha's shoulder. But maybe
we can make a small difference. It's not about fixing everything, but about showing compassion. We're all human, after all.
As they descended into the subway, the group continued their conversation, a blend of debate, sympathy, and shared humanity. The city slept beneath the cloak of the night, and within its heart, the waiters and chefs grappled with the complexities of life, each carrying a piece of Evelyn's story with them into the depths of the urban landscape. The conversation continued as they dispersed, each member of the staff carrying with them the weight of Evelyn's story. The city, unforgiving and indifferent, continued its nocturnal symphony, while a lone figure walked away with the echoes of clattering dishes and the kindness of strangers lingering in her heart. Evelyn's journey had just begun, but within the glow of city lights and the hum of urban life, she found a flicker of hope amidst the darkness. The night air hung heavy with the aroma of sizzling street food as Evelyn left the hotel, her heart buoyant with newfound hope. The crumpled bills from her day's wages rustled in her pocket, a tangible reminder of her resilience. The city was alive with the hum of late-night activity, and the glow of streetlights illuminated her path. As she walked through the labyrinth of streets, the enticing scent of street food beckoned her towards a small vendor's cart. The vendor, a cheerful man with a weathered face, smiled as Evelyn approached. The menu displayed a variety of options, but her eyes settled on the simple joy of hot dogs. 4 hot dogs, please, Evelyn requested, her voice carrying a sense of accomplishment. The vendor nodded, and with a swift hand he prepared the hot dogs, expertly dressing them with an array of toppings. Evelyn counted out 4 crumpled dollar bills and handed them to the vendor, who returned her smile with a nod of gratitude. With the warm hot dogs in hand, Evelyn's heart raced with anticipation as she made her way to the familiar spot where Rosa usually sought refuge. The night had cast a gentle hush over the city, and the sounds of distant conversations and passing cars became the backdrop of Evelyn's determined steps. As she approached the dimly lit corner, where Rosa often rested, Evelyn saw her silhouette against the city's glow. Rosa sat on a makeshift bed of cardboard, her eyes gazing into the distance. The soft rustle of her tattered clothes echoed in the stillness. "Rosa!" Evelyn called out, her voice carrying the weight of excitement. Rosa turned, her eyes widening in surprise. The wariness in her expression gave way to curiosity as she saw Evelyn, running towards her with a beaming smile. "Evelyn, what are you doing here?" Rosa asked, her voice a mix of confusion and joy. Evelyn reached Rosa, her breath slightly laboured from the excitement. "I have something for us." She held up the paper-wrapped hot dogs, the warm steam rising into the night air. Rosa's eyes lit up with a mixture of surprise and delight. "Hot dogs? Where did you get these?" Evelyn chuckled. "I got a job today, washing dishes at a nearby hotel. I earned some money, and I thought we could celebrate together." Rosa's face broke into a wide grin. "You got a job! That's amazing, Evelyn. I'm so happy for you." Evelyn handed Rosa a hot dog, and they found a quiet spot nearby to sit and enjoy their simple feast. The cityscape sprawled out before them, a tapestry of lights against the canvas of the night. As they bit into the hot dogs, the flavours mingled with the warmth of shared gratitude. The night became a moment frozen in time where two souls found solace in the simplicity of a meal shared between newfound friends. Between bites, Rosa finally spoke, her voice filled with emotion. "I can't believe you got a job. This is incredible, Evelyn. Oh, thank you for sharing this moment with me." Evelyn smiled warmly. "It's the least I could do. You've been a comfort to me on these harsh streets, and I wanted to share my joy with you." They continued to eat in companionable silence, savouring each bite as though it held the essence of the newfound connection between them. The vendor's cart, now closing for the night, added a final note to the symphony of the city. Once they finished their meal, Rosa leaned back, her eyes reflecting a mix of contentment and exhaustion. "Thank you, Evelyn. I don't know when was the last time I had something warm and satisfying." Evelyn placed a hand on Rosa's shoulder. "You deserve it, my dear. Now, you should go get some rest." But Rosa hesitated. "Oh, don't go, Evelyn. Stay with me tonight. It's not safe out there and we can keep each other company." Evelyn's eyes softened with gratitude, but she shook her head gently. "Thank you, Rosa, but you need your rest. I'll find a spot for myself on the streets. You've given me comfort many times. Let me repay you that kindness by letting you sleep undisturbed." Rosa's lips parted as if to protest, but she simply nodded. "Thank you, Evelyn. Take care of yourself out there." With a parting smile, Evelyn gathered the remains of their impromptu feast and bid Rosa good night. As she walked away, she glanced back to see Rosa settling into her makeshift bed, a lone figure in the quiet night. The city embraced Evelyn once again, its unforgiving streets illuminated by the faint glow of streetlights. The warmth from the hot dogs lingered in her belly, and the satisfaction of a day's work resonated in her tired but grateful heart. The night pressed on, and Evelyn found a secluded spot to lay down, the sounds of the city humming her a lullaby as she drifted into a well-earned slumber. The night in the subway passed, with the city's lullaby of distant echoes and the occasional rumble of passing trains. Evelyn awoke with a sense of determination, the cool morning air revitalizing her weary spirit. She gathered her belongings and made her way to the nearby hotel where she had found employment as a dishwasher. As she arrived at the hotel, the city was beginning to stir with the first rays of dawn. The manager, a stern but fair woman, greeted her with a nod. "Early today, Evelyn? Good. We're opening soon. Get to work." Evelyn nodded in acknowledgement and headed to the employee restroom. The facilities were basic, but the prospect of a hot shower and a change of clothes offered a small reprieve from the challenges of her transient lifestyle. By 7:30 a.m. she emerged feeling refreshed, her old bones invigorated by the simple luxury of cleanliness. The kitchen buzzed with activity as the culinary team prepared for the day ahead. Evelyn dove into her work with a quiet determination, scrubbing away the remnants of yesterday's feasts. The clatter of dishes and the hum of the kitchen became a comforting melody, drowning out the harsh symphony of the city beyond. As the morning progressed, the manager approached Evelyn during a brief lull in her duties. "Take a lunch break, Evelyn. 30 minutes. We'll manage without you for a bit." Evelyn nodded gratefully and made her way to a nearby park, where she could enjoy a moment of solitude amidst nature. She settled on a bench, unpacking a simple lunch she had brought from home. As she nibbled on her sandwich, a familiar face caught her eye. A young lady, a neighbour from her past life, approached with a warm smile. "Evelyn, is that you?" Evelyn's eyes widened with recognition. "Oh, my dear, it's you! I haven't seen you in ages. How have you been?" The young lady named Sarah explained that her husband was in the military, and she had gone to visit him at the office for a few days. "I've just returned, and look at you. How have you been, Evelyn?" Evelyn hesitated for a moment, the weight of her current situation looming. "Oh, I've been managing, my dear. Life takes unexpected turns, doesn't it? Within the conversation, Sarah's eyes glimmered with excitement. Oh, I have to tell you, Evelyn, I'm 3 months pregnant. He's healthy and growing so fast. A genuine smile spread across Evelyn's face. Oh, that's wonderful news, Sarah. I'm so happy for you. There's nothing more precious than a healthy child. As they continued chatting, Sarah's curiosity got the better of her. Evelyn, forgive me if I'm prying, but what brings you here? In the city, I mean. I thought you were living in the suburbs. Evelyn's expression shifted for a moment, a mix of emotion crossing her face. Oh, it's just a change of scenery, my dear. Life has its twists and turns, but enough about me. Tell me more about your baby boy. Before Sarah could delve deeper, Evelyn excused herself, feigning a sudden rush. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, but I'm in a bit of a hurry. We'll catch up another time. Sarah's brows furrowed with concern, sensing there was more to Evelyn's story than she was willing to share. The young lady decided to discreetly inquire about Evelyn's situation with the manager. Later, after 30 minutes had passed, Evelyn returned to the hotel, expecting Sarah to have left. To her surprise, she found Sarah waiting for her near the entrance. Evelyn! Sarah exclaimed. I wanted to catch you before I left. Are you doing okay? The manager told me about your situation and I couldn't just leave without making sure you were all right. Evelyn's eyes softened with gratitude. You're a kind soul, Sarah. I appreciate your concern. I'm managing just fine, dear. Don't worry about me. Sarah wasn't convinced. Why are you working here? Why didn't you tell me about all this? Evelyn sighed, a mix of vulnerability and pride in her eyes. I didn't want to burden you, my dear. Life has its ups and downs, and I'm just navigating through a rough patch, but enough about me. Please go on with your day. Take care of that little one of yours. Sarah's eyes bore into Evelyn's, a mix of frustration and genuine concern. Why didn't you tell me, Evelyn? You should have let me know about your situation. You can't go through this alone. Evelyn hesitated, her gaze dropping to the floor. I didn't want to burden you, dear. You have your own life, your family. I didn't want to impose. Sarah's frustration boiled over. Burden! Evelyn, you're not a burden. You're family. Now enough of this. From now on, you're coming to live with me. I won't hear any excuses. Evelyn's eyes widened with surprise and a sense of tension crept into her frail frame. Oh, Sarah, you're a kind soul, but I can't. I can't be a burden on you and your family. You are going to have a child. I can't impose on your life like that. Sarah's voice grew firm, her determination unwavering. You're not imposing, Evelyn. Your family and family takes care of each other. You're coming home with me, and that's final. Evelyn sighed, her eyes moist with gratitude. Oh, my dear, you're so kind, but I can't accept that. It's too much. Sarah crossed her arms, her expression resolute. Enough, Evelyn. I've already talked to the manager. He'll pay you for the work you did today. You're leaving with me now. Evelyn's eyes widened with surprise. Oh, dear, you don't have to do that. Sarah shook her head. No arguments, Evelyn. We're leaving. With that, Sarah led Evelyn back to the manager's office. The manager, aware of the situation, nodded in understanding. Take care, Evelyn. If you ever need work, you know where to find us. Evelyn thanked the manager and received the wages for her day's work. Sarah led her out of the hotel, their footsteps echoing in the quiet corridor. As they walked towards Sarah's home, the tension in Evelyn's shoulders began to ease. The weight of uncertainty lifted, replaced by a newfound sense of belonging. The two women, generations apart, shared a bond that transcended bloodlines. When they arrived at Sarah's house, a well-maintained residence in a prosperous neighbourhood, Evelyn couldn't help but feel a mix of gratitude and apprehension. Sarah opened the door, her stern expression softening. Evelyn, welcome home. Evelyn's eyes welled up with tears. "Oh, thank you, my dear." Over the next few days, Evelyn settled into her new life with Sarah and her family. The rich society, a stark contrast to the streets she had become accustomed to, embraced her with open arms. Evelyn took on the role of a caretaker, helping around the house and providing companionship to Sarah. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, Sarah turned to Evelyn with a warm smile. "Thank you, Evelyn. You've brought so much warmth to our home." Evelyn patted Sarah's hand affectionately. "No, my dear. Thank you for giving me a home when I needed it the most. It's a blessing to be here with you." As Sarah's pregnancy progressed, Evelyn became an integral part of the household. She accompanied Sarah to doctor's appointments, prepared meals, and provided the support and wisdom that came with a lifetime of experiences. One day, as they sat in the nursery folding tiny clothes and preparing for the arrival of the newest member of the family, Sarah looked at Evelyn with gratitude. "I can't believe I almost let you slip away, Evelyn. You're like a second mother to me." Evelyn's eyes sparkled with warmth. "You're like a daughter to me, my dear. I'm grateful for every moment I get to spend with you and your family." The days turned into weeks, and Sarah's home became a sanctuary for Evelyn. The once struggling dishwasher found solace and purpose in the love and care she shared with Sarah and her growing family. The rich society, with its manicured lawns and elegant houses, became a backdrop to the blooming relationships that had flourished in the unlikeliest of circumstances. In the quiet moments when the house was filled with the soothing hum of daily life, Evelyn often found herself reflecting on the twists of fate that had led her from the cold streets to the warm embrace of family. And as she rocked Sarah's newborn in her arms, she marvelled at the beauty that could arise from the most unexpected corners of life. The days had melded into a comforted routine for Evelyn at Sarah's home. 1.5 months had passed, and the once vagrant old lady had seamlessly become a cherished member of the family. The elegant house, surrounded by manicured lawns, and the laughter of Sarah's growing family now held a warmth that Evelyn had only dreamed of during her nights on the cold streets. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the door creaked open and in walked Jake, Sarah's husband, who came back from military service with a 2-day holiday and held a large, gift-wrapped box in his hands. The evening sun bathed Sarah's home in a warm glow as Evelyn and Sarah sat in the living room, chatting and sipping on tea. The door creaked open and their conversation hushed as they turned to see who was entering. To their astonishment, there stood Jake, Sarah's husband, adorned in his military uniform, a wide grin on his face.
"Surprise!"
Jake exclaimed, his eyes lighting up as he rushed towards them. Both Sarah and Evelyn were on their feet, their expressions a mix of disbelief and pure joy. Evelyn's hand instinctively covered her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes. "Jake, oh my dear, you're home!" Sarah cried, rushing into his arms. Jake hugged Sarah tightly. His gaze then shifted to Evelyn.
"And you must be Evelyn. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you."
Evelyn, overwhelmed with emotion, managed to nod and whispered, "Jake, my dear, you've surprised us. Welcome home." Jake chuckled, releasing Sarah from the embrace.
"I couldn't resist the chance to surprise my 2 favourite ladies. It's been too long."
Sarah wiped away tears of joy. "How did you manage to keep this a secret?"
"It took some planning, but I wanted to be a surprise for both of you,"
Jake explained, a twinkle in his eye. Evelyn, still processing the joyful shock, stepped forward. "Thank you, Jake. This is the best surprise I could ever ask for." Jake smiled warmly.
"Well, I've missed my 2 favourite women and I couldn't wait to be home with my family."
The trio settled into the living room, the air filled with laughter and the warmth of a reunited family. As they sat together, sharing stories and catching up on the time Jake spent away, Evelyn couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for the unexpected turns life had taken.
Surprise!
Jake exclaimed, presenting the gift to both Sarah and Evelyn.
I thought we could celebrate tonight. It's a special day for someone.
Sarah and Evelyn exchanged puzzled glances. Then Jake grinned.
It's Evelyn's birthday today. Happy birthday!
Evelyn's eyes widened with surprise, and a mixture of joy and gratitude filled her heart. The family gathered around as Evelyn unwrapped the gift, revealing a beautiful necklace that sparkled in the soft glow of the room. "Oh, Jake, Sarah, you shouldn't have," Evelyn said, her voice quivering with emotion. Sarah hugged her. "You're part of this family now, Evelyn. We wanted to make your birthday special." That night, they celebrated with a homemade dinner and a birthday cake, laughter filling the air. Evelyn felt a sense of belonging and happiness she hadn't experienced in years. Later, as they gathered around the dinner table, the aroma of a home-cooked meal filled the air. Sarah, beaming with happiness, served a feast to celebrate Jake's return. The atmosphere was filled and shared with laughter, love, and the simple joy of being together. During the meal, Jake turned to Evelyn.
I've heard so much about you, Evelyn. Thank you for being here for Sarah in my absence.
Evelyn smiled warmly. It's been my pleasure, Jake. Your wife is a remarkable woman, and it's been an honour to be a part of your family. As they sat down for dinner, the atmosphere was filled with warmth. Jake, curious about Evelyn's past, decided to strike up a conversation.
Evelyn, are you happy here with us?
Evelyn's eyes twinkled with sincerity as she responded. How could I not be happy with my family? You've given me more than I could ever ask for. Both Jake and Sarah smiled, a shared happiness radiating through the room. Later, as they enjoyed dessert, Jake's curiosity led him to ask more about Evelyn's family.
What does your son do, Evelyn?
Evelyn smiled, pride evident in her voice. He's an investment banker, happily married with 2 children, a girl and a boy. Jake nodded, then ventured further.
Where does he live?
He lives 2 colonies before your house, Evelyn replied. Jake's expressions shifted and he furrowed his brow.
I'm sorry if I'm prying, but I can't help wondering why your son would abandon such a sweet mother like you. What could make him do that?
Evelyn's eyes glistened with unshed tears. The question pierced her heart and she took a moment before responding. Life has its complications, dear. Sometimes circumstances lead people down unexpected paths. Jake regretted his words, realizing the pain they had caused.
I'm sorry, Evelyn. I didn't mean to upset you.
Evelyn managed a gentle smile. It's okay, dear. Life is a journey filled with both joy and sorrow. I found immense joy here with you and Sarah. After dinner, they retired to their respective rooms. In Evelyn's room, the soft glow of the bedside lamp cast a warm ambiance. She lay in bed, thoughts swirling about her son and the life she left behind. The bittersweet emotions of the day lingered, and she couldn't help but wonder about the choices that had led them to this point. As she stared at the ceiling, the walls of her room seemed to hold echoes of the laughter and love she had found in this unexpected chapter of her life. She whispered words into the quiet room, a silent message to her absent son, expressing both forgiveness and an enduring love that had weathered the storms of time. The night pressed on, filled with a gentle serenity, and Evelyn drifted into a peaceful sleep. Her dreams touched by the newfound family that had embraced her with open hearts. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Sarah's home as the family prepared for a significant event. Jake, Sarah's husband, had returned to his military duties after a brief but cherished visit, leaving behind a sense of longing in his wife's heart. Evelyn, the old lady who had become an integral part of their lives, offered comfort and support as they bid Jake a bittersweet farewell.
Take care of yourself and our little one, Sarah.
Jake said, his voice filled with love.
And Evelyn, thank you for being here for my family. I trust you to look after them in my absence.
Evelyn nodded solemnly. You have my word, Jake. Safe travels, and we'll be eagerly waiting your return. As Jake left, Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. Evelyn, understanding the depth of her sadness, gently guided Sarah to a seat and reassured her. He'll be back before you know it, my dear. In the meantime, let's focus on taking care of each other, Evelyn said, her voice a soothing presence. Over the following days, Sarah found solace in the routines of daily life, supported by the presence of Evelyn. The old lady seamlessly blended into the fabric of the household, taking charge of chores and offering companionship during the lonely hours. As the bond between Sarah and Evelyn deepened, they found strength in each other. Evelyn, with her wisdom and life experiences, became a pillar of support for Sarah. The once struggling dishwasher had transformed into an indispensable part of their lives. As the days passed, Evelyn noticed that the anniversary of her husband's death was approaching. With a sense of purpose, she shared her plan with Sarah. I want to visit the cemetery on the anniversary of my husband's passing. It's essential for me to pay my respects and spend some time with him, Evelyn explained. Sarah, understanding the significance of the day, nodded in agreement. Of course, Evelyn. Take the time you need. We'll be here when you return. The day arrived, coinciding with the completion of 4 months since Evelyn had left her son's home. In the morning, after preparing breakfast for Sarah, Evelyn made her way to the cemetery. She spent a quiet 2 hours at her husband's resting place, offering her prayers and cherishing the memories they had shared. As she prepared to leave, she noticed Mr. Smith, her husband's friend, approaching. Pleasant exchanges were made, and then Mr. Smith steered the conversation toward a more sensitive topic.
As your husband transferred 200 million in property to you, what are your plans for it? Mr. Smith inquired.
Evelyn, having contemplated this, responded, I plan to create a will. There are 2 individuals I wish to include in it. In 3 days, I'll call my children to this address and we'll open the will together. Mr. Smith, aware of Evelyn's situation, didn't object to her plan. He took note of the address and assured her that the necessary steps would be taken. The sun had begun its descent, casting a warm glow over the city as Evelyn left the cemetery. Her heart felt both heavy with memories and lifted with a sense of purpose. As she walked along St. Maria Street, her steps guided her toward a familiar face she hadn't seen in days. Rosa. Spotting Rosa in her usual spot, Evelyn couldn't help but smile. Rosa, she called out. Rosa, turning around, saw Evelyn approaching and her face lit up with joy. Evelyn, where have you been? I haven't seen you around lately. Evelyn, reaching Rosa, gave her a warm embrace. I've been staying with my neighbour for a while, but I've missed our conversations, Rosa. Rosa, touched by Evelyn's words, asked, So, what brings you here today? Evelyn, with a twinkle in her eye, said, I came to see you, my dear, and I have something important to discuss. As they found a quiet spot to sit, Evelyn looked at Rosa with a sense of determination. Rosa, you're young, full of potential. Do you have any interest in studying or pursuing something you love? Rosa, a bit surprised by the question, hesitated before responding. Well, I do have dreams, but with the circumstances, I never thought. Evelyn interrupted with a reassuring smile. Enough of this begging, Rosa. You deserve a chance to follow your dreams. I want to sponsor your education. You can choose any field you're passionate about. Consider it a gift from one mother to her child. No need to pay me back. Rosa's eyes widened with a mix of surprise and gratitude. But Evelyn, I can't. Evelyn gently placed a hand on Rosa's shoulder. You can, and you will. I've seen potential in you, and I believe you can achieve great things. I want to see you thrive, my dear. After a moment of contemplation, Rosa, her eyes shining with newfound hope, nodded. Okay, Evelyn. I'll give it a try. Thank you for believing in me. Evelyn hugged Rosa once again. That's the spirit, my child. Now, let's get you enrolled in a cooking school, follow your passion and watch your life take a beautiful turn. In the coming weeks, with Evelyn's support, Rosa enrolled in a cooking school. As she delved into her studies, her skills blossomed and she discovered a world of possibilities. The echoes of her past life as a beggar faded, replaced by the promising notes of a future filled with accomplishment and self-discovery. Evelyn, watching Rosa flourish, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The act of extending a helping hand had not only changed Rosa's life, but had also enriched Evelyn's journey. Together they walked a path of transformation and newfound purpose, leaving behind the shadows of the past and stepping into the radiant light of hope and opportunity. The next day, Mr. Smith made a call to her son, Charles, informing him about the upcoming event. Charles was going about his day when his phone buzzed with an incoming call. Glancing at the screen, he noticed it was Mr. Smith, his mother's late husband's friend and an executor of her will. Intrigued and slightly apprehensive, he answered the call.
Hello, Charles, it's Mr. Smith,
came the calm voice from the other end. Charles, a bit surprised, responded,
Mr. Smith, what can I do for you?
Mr. Smith got straight to the point.
I wanted to inform you that your mother, Evelyn, has decided to read her will. The event is scheduled for today at 4 p.m. at Sarah Dome's residence.
Charles, his curiosity piqued, asked,
Her will? Why now? And who's this Sarah Dome?
Mr. Smith, maintaining his composed demeanour, explained,
Your mother has made some decisions about the distribution of her property, and she wanted it to be done with a certain level of privacy and comfort. Sarah and Jake Dome will be present during the reading.
Charles, a hint of suspicion in his tone, inquired,
Property? What does she have property in her name? How much is it?
Mr. Smith, choosing his words carefully, replied,
I'm not at liberty to discuss the details over the phone. Your mother will explain everything during the reading. It would be best if you attend to hear it directly from her.
Charles, feeling a mix of curiosity and concern, reluctantly agreed.
Fine, I'll be there, but I want to know what this is about.
Mr. Smith acknowledged.
I understand, Charles. It's a sensitive matter. Be at Sarah Dome's residence at 4 p.m. Address is Heritage Residency, house number 34, and all your questions will be addressed.
As the call ended, Charles couldn't shake off the feeling of uncertainty. He wondered what could prompt his mother to make such decisions, and why are these unknowns involved? Also, the address is his society, but a different household number. The intrigue lingered, leaving Charles to anxiously anticipate the unfolding events of the will reading. 2 days later, Evelyn welcomed her son and his family to Sarah's home. The atmosphere was tense, emotions running high. The lawyer, already briefed on the situation, began the proceedings.
In the will, the lawyer began, I, Evelyn, transfer my 200 million property to Sarah Dome and Jake Dome.
Upon hearing the contents of the will, Charles and his wife erupted in anger. Accusations and heated arguments filled the room as Evelyn's family reacted to the unexpected turns of events. The air in the room became thick with tension as Charles and his wife Jennifer reacted vehemently to the unexpected contents of Evelyn's will. Accusations and frustration spilled over, creating an atmosphere of heated confrontation. Charles, his face contorted with anger, pointed at Evelyn accusingly.
What is this, mother? You're leaving everything to Sarah and Jake? What about us, your flesh and blood?
Evelyn, her eyes steady, responded calmly. Charles, life takes unexpected turns. Sarah and Jake have been there for me when I needed support. They are family too. Jennifer, indignant and unable to contain her anger, chimed in.
Family? We are your family. How could you prioritise them over us?
Evelyn sighed, attempting to diffuse the escalating tension. Jennifer, this decision wasn't made lightly. It's about the relationships we build, the bonds that go beyond blood. Charles, frustration boiling over, retorted,
Bonds! What about our needs, Mother? We have bills to pay and children to raise. This is unfair.
Evelyn, standing her ground, responded firmly, Life isn't always fair, Charles. I've made this decision with careful consideration. It's time for you to understand that. The argument intensified as Charles and Jennifer continued to express their displeasure, each word a dagger in Evelyn's heart. Sarah, witnessing the turmoil, stepped forward in an attempt to mediate. Please, let's not fight over this. Evelyn made her decision based on what she felt was right. We should respect that, Sarah urged, her voice calm yet firm. Charles, not willing to back down, turned towards Sarah.
Stay out of this. This is a family matter, and we have the right to know why she's favouring you over us.
Evelyn, her patience wearing thin, finally spoke with a resolute tone.
Enough! This decision is final.
I won't let this argument tear us apart. If you cannot accept it, then perhaps it's time for both of you to leave. Jennifer, frustrated and feeling unheard, exclaimed,
Fine! We don't need your money. We'll make it on our own. Come on, Charles, let's go!
Charles, still seething with anger, shot one last accusatory glance at Evelyn before storming out with Jennifer. The door slammed shut, leaving Evelyn and the lingering echoes of a fractured family in its wake. Evelyn, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, whispered to herself, Sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that ensure the well-being of those we truly care about. As the room settled into a heavy silence, Evelyn was left to grapple with the aftermath of a difficult choice. Hoping that time would heal the wounds that had been inflicted in the name of inheritance and family expectations. The lawyer, unfazed, swiftly completed the legal formalities, ensuring the will was executed according to Evelyn's wishes. With a final nod, he left the tumultuous scene. Evelyn, having anticipated the reactions, stood firm in her decision. She looked at Sarah and Jake, the new beneficiaries of her legacy, with a sense of satisfaction. The bond between them had weathered the storm, and Evelyn found comfort in knowing that her final act had secured a future for those who had become her true family. After the dramatic reading, the room fell silent as Evelyn's son Charles and his wife left in a storm of anger and disappointment. The lawyer collected his belongings, offering a nod of understanding to Evelyn, and departed, leaving Sarah and Evelyn alone in the aftermath. With a heavy sigh, Sarah turned to Evelyn, her eyes filled with confusion and concern. Evelyn, why did you transfer all your property to me and Jake? What about your son? Shouldn't he be the one inheriting? Evelyn, her gaze steady, replied, Sarah, my dear, even though Charles is my son by birth, you and Jake have become my family in every sense. You stood by me when I needed support the most. You took care of me until my last breath. You deserve this, and I want you and Jake to have it. But what about Charles? Shouldn't he know about this? Sarah asked, still trying to comprehend the unexpected turn of events. Evelyn, a soft smile on her lips, said, Charles already received a considerable amount from his father's earlier transfer of property. He has enough, and I believe this is the right decision. You and Jake are my children now, and I want you to have what's rightfully yours. Sarah, touched by Evelyn's words, decided to share the news with Jake. She dialed his number, and after a few rings, he picked up. Hey, Jake, you won't believe what just happened. As Sarah recounted the events and Evelyn's decision, Jake's voice filled with surprise and concern.
What? Why would she do that? We can't accept this. It should go to her son.
Sarah, holding the phone away from her ear, heard Evelyn's firm voice. Tell Jake that he's my son too, and I've made this decision with a clear heart. Let's not dwell on it. We have more important things to focus on. Sarah relayed Evelyn's message to Jake, and after a moment of silence, he conceded.
If that's what she wants, then we'll respect her decision. She's family after all.
The call ended, and with the contentious topic put to rest, Sarah suggested a change of scenery. How about we go to the market? We can pick up some things for the baby and maybe treat ourselves to something nice. Evelyn, appreciating the idea, nodded in agreement. That sounds like a wonderful plan, my dear. Let's go. The two women ventured out to the market, the bustling atmosphere lifting their spirits. As they strolled through the aisles, Sarah and Evelyn engaged in light-hearted banter, sharing stories and laughter. Sarah pointed at a display of cute baby clothes. What do you think, Evelyn? Should we get some adorable outfits for the little one? Evelyn smiled. Absolutely. Let's make sure the baby is the most stylish one in town. They continued their shopping, picking out items with care and joy. The market excursion became a therapeutic escape, a chance for both women to focus on the joyous moments ahead. The bonds between Sarah and Evelyn, forged through adversity and love, only deepened as they navigated the market together, savouring the simple pleasures of life. The ride back home for Charles and his wife Jennifer, after the will reading, was filled with tense silence. The air inside the car hung heavy with unspoken frustration, each of them grappling with the unexpected turn of events. As they entered their house, the tension erupted like a storm that had been brewing for far too long. Charles, unable to contain his anger, slammed the door shut behind them.
What the hell was that, Jennifer? Why would Mum give everything to Sarah and Jake? This is ridiculous. Charles exploded, his frustration pouring out.
Jennifer, equally upset, shot back.
Well, maybe if you hadn't thrown her out the house, she wouldn't have made such a decision. Have you ever thought about that?
Charles, his face reddening, retorted, Throw her out! She was a burden, Jennifer!
You also wanted her to leave, and she was creating chaos in our lives. I did what needed to be done.
Jennifer, her eyes flashing with anger, responded, A burden? She's your mother! And you talk about her like she's some inconvenience. If anyone's to blame for this mess, it's you! The accusations and blame continued to escalate as the couple engaged in a bitter exchange, each hurling words that cut deep. The echoes of their argument reverberated through the once peaceful household. Charles, pacing back and forth, lashed out,
Well, maybe if you had been a better wife, I wouldn't have had to make tough decisions. You should have stopped me instead of siding with me for throwing her out the house.
Jennifer, her impatience wearing thin, snapped back,
Support you! I married you! Charles! Not your insecurities and issues with your mother. I won't stand by and watch you scolding me like this. It's your fault!
The argument reached its peak, with both Charles and Jennifer standing on opposite sides of a chasm that seemed unsurmountable. The unresolved issues in their relationships, coupled with the shock of Evelyn's decision, had created a volatile atmosphere. As accusations continued to fly, they failed to realise that, in their heated exchange, they were blaming each other for removing Evelyn from their lives. The bitter irony lay in the fact that neither knew Evelyn had owned a significant property worth $200 million. The realisation of the magnitude of their mother's wealth, and the implication of a decision, would eventually hit them. However, at that moment, the house echoed with the intensity of their argument, leaving behind a shattered family dynamic and the painful aftermath of an unexpected revelation. After the eventful day of the will reading and the market excursion, Evelyn and Sarah returned home, their arms filled with bags of baby clothes and essentials. The atmosphere inside the house had transformed from tension to a comforting warmth as the two women shared smiles and laughter, leaving the outside world behind. As they unpacked the shopping bags, Sarah couldn't help but comment on the cute baby clothes they had purchased.
Look at these tiny shoes, Evelyn. Can you believe we'll have a little one running around soon? Evelyn chuckled. It's quite a miracle, isn't it? I never thought I'd be a part of something so beautiful at this stage in my life.
The duo then moved to the kitchen to prepare dinner together. Amidst the aroma of simmering dishes, they exchanged stories and shared memories, turning the kitchen into a haven of shared joy. Over dinner, Sarah decided to broach the topic of the will, again, but this time with a lighter touch.
Evelyn, I can't believe you did that for us. It's so generous. I can't express how grateful Jake and I are.
Evelyn, smiling, warmly replied,
My dear, family isn't always about blood. It's about the people who stand by you, support you and love you. You and Jake have become my family, and I wanted to ensure you both have a secure future.
Sarah, touched by Evelyn's words, reached for her hand across the table.
Thank you, Evelyn. We're truly blessed to have you in our lives.
As dinner concluded, the three of them, Evelyn, Sarah and Jake, gathered in the living room. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of contentment and belonging. Evelyn, with a glint of mischief in her eyes, suggested,
"How about we watch a movie together? We could use a bit of relaxation after today."
The proposal was met with enthusiasm, and soon they found themselves settled on the couch, sharing laughter and popcorn. The movie served as a delightful distraction, bringing moments of joy to a family that had navigated through uncertainties and challenges. As the credits rolled and the lights dimmed, Evelyn couldn't help but express her gratitude.
"I might not have much time left, but I want to spend it surrounded by the love and warmth you both have brought into my life."
Jake, wrapping his arms around Sarah, nodded in agreement.
"Evelyn, you're not just family. You're our blessing. We're grateful for every moment we get to spend with you."
With hearts full of appreciation and warmth, they retired for the night. Evelyn, tucked into her bed, reflected on the day's events. Despite the complexities of the will reading, she found solace in the love that enveloped her, making her feel like the richest woman in the world. As they drifted into a peaceful sleep, the house echoed with the quiet laughter and shared moments that had redefined the meaning of family for each of them. The next morning, the sun streamed through the curtains as Evelyn got up early, her heart brimming with anticipation. Today was the day to transform the spare room into a haven for the soon-to-arrive baby. With a heart full of love, she gathered paints, toys, and decorations. Around 10 a.m., Sarah, with sleep still in her eyes, ventured out of her room. As she opened the door to the kids' room, her eyes widened in delight. The once plain space had transformed into a colourful wonderland of pastel hues and playful decor. Stuffed animals adorned the shelves, a mobile dangled above the crib, and the walls were adorned with a whimsical painting.
"Wow, Evelyn, this is incredible!"
Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy.
"I can't believe you did all of this overnight!"
Evelyn, her eyes sparkling, replied,
"I wanted to make sure the little one feels welcomed into a world filled with love and warmth."
After marvelling at the room, they made their way to the kitchen for breakfasts. Amidst the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the clinking of utensils, they discussed the approaching due date.
"So, when is the big day?"
Evelyn inquired with a smile. Sarah, sipping her coffee, replied,
"It's in 15 days. Time is flying, isn't it?"
Evelyn, a twinkle in her eye, suggested, "How about you take it easy from today onwards? Let me handle things around here. We want the little one to arrive in a stress-free environment." Sarah, grateful for Evelyn's support, agreed with a nod.
"Thank you, Evelyn. That sounds like a plan."
As the proverb goes, time flies when you're having fun. The days passed swiftly. Evelyn made sure everything was in order, creating a serene atmosphere for the impending arrival. Finally, the much-anticipated day arrived. Sarah, accompanied by Evelyn, was admitted to the hospital. Jake, receiving the call, rushed to be by their side. As the labour pains began, Evelyn called for the doctor, leaving the room to allow for privacy. An hour later, the cry of a newborn filled the air. The doctor smiled, announcing,
"It's a boy! Congratulations!"
Overjoyed, Jake couldn't hold back his tears. Evelyn, seeing the new father's emotions, reached out and comforted him with a gentle touch. As they waited for Sarah to wake up, Jake couldn't help but express his gratitude.
"Evelyn, I can't thank you enough for being here with us. You've been our rock through all of this."
Jake hugged Evelyn tightly, and in that moment they shared the joy and wonder of new life. A couple of hours later, Sarah woke up to the loving faces of Jake and Evelyn. The room was filled with the warmth of a new family, and as Jake embraced Sarah, tears of joy streamed down their faces.
"Welcome back, my love,"
Jake whispered. Evelyn, observing the beautiful reunion, couldn't help but feel a deep sense of contentment. The room was now filled with the soft sounds of a baby's gentle breaths, marking the beginning of a new chapter filled with love, laughter, and the sweet melodies of a family's shared journey. As the evening sun painted the sky in warm hues, Sarah was discharged from the hospital, bringing the newborn bundle of joy back home. The air in the house was filled with excitement and anticipation as they entered the nursery that Evelyn had lovingly decorated.
"Oh, Evelyn, this is magical,"
Sarah exclaimed, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. The room was adorned with colourful cartoons, whimsical posters, and a crib that looked like it belonged in a fairy tale. Evelyn beamed with pride.
"I wanted to create a space where every moment is filled with love and happiness. It's a reflection of the joy this little one has brought into our lives."
Jake, marvelling at the transformation, added,
"You've outdone yourself, Evelyn. This room is perfect for our little prince."
After settling in, Sarah indulged in a warm bowl of homemade soup that Evelyn had prepared. The comforting aroma filled the air as they gathered around the dining table, relishing the moment of togetherness. As the night descended, the baby nestled in the crib. Sarah took a moment to soak in the serenity of the room. Evelyn, sensing the quiet reflection, joined her.
"Sarah, this is just the beginning of a beautiful journey. I've seen you go through so much, and now the little one is a testament to the strength and love that surrounds us."
Evelyn spoke with a tender smile. Sarah, cradling her newborn, nodded in agreement.
"I can't thank you enough, Evelyn. You've been my pillar of support, and this room is a testament to the love you've poured into our lives."
The night progressed, and the quiet hum of contentment filled the air. As the baby slept peacefully in the crib, Jake and Sarah sat side by side, their hearts brimming with gratitude and love. In the soft glow of the nightlight, Evelyn, with a heart full of joy, spoke.
"This little one has brought so much happiness. As you embark on this new chapter, remember that you're surrounded by love, not just from me, but from the universe."
As they exchanged smiles, Jake wrapped his arm around Sarah, and the 3 generations in the room shared a moment of unity and love. And so the night unfolded, with the promise of a brighter tomorrow and the sweet melodies of a family that had weathered storms and emerged stronger. In this tale of love, resilience, and new beginnings, the pages turned, leaving behind a story of triumph, warmth, and the enduring power of family bonds. The days after Sarah and the baby returned home were filled with an abundance of joy, laughter, and heartwarming moments. Evelyn revelled in her newfound role as a doting grandmother, and the house echoed with the sweet sounds of a growing family. As the morning sun painted the sky in hues of pink and orange, Evelyn would tiptoe into the nursery where the baby lay cooing and babbling in the crib. The room, adorned with soft pastels and gentle lullabies, became a haven of tranquility and love. Evelyn, cradling the baby in her arms, would sing old lullabies passed down through generations. The soothing melodies seemed to weave a tapestry of comfort around the room, creating a cocoon of warmth and security. Mid-morning was dedicated to playful moments and exploration. Evelyn, armed with a collection of colourful toys, would sit on the living room floor, encouraging the baby to reach for dangling objects and make its first attempts at crawling. The afternoons were filled with shared naps, both grandmother and baby finding solace in the gentle embrace of sleep. Evelyn would often marvel at the innocence of the tiny being in her arms, grateful for each precious moment spent together. Evenings brought the family together for dinner, where they would share stories and laughter. The aroma of home-cooked meals wafted through the air, creating a sensory symphony that added to the warmth of their shared space. As the baby grew, Evelyn took delight in teaching it simple games and nursery rhymes. The house became a treasure trove of memories, each room holding a story of laughter, love, and the indescribable bond that had been forming between generations. Weekends were dedicated to family outings, where they strolled through parks, visited playgrounds, and created memories that would be etched in their hearts forever. Evelyn, watching the baby's eyes widen in wonder at the world, felt a sense of fulfillment that surpassed anything she had ever known. The nights were tender, with Evelyn often taking the night shift to allow Sarah and Jake's much-needed rest. In those quiet hours, she cradled the baby, humming lullabies until it drifted into a peaceful slumber. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Evelyn marvelled at the incredible journey they were all undertaking together. The once empty house had transformed into a sanctuary of love, where the laughter of the little one echoed like music. In the quiet moments, Evelyn would sit in her favourite chair, the baby nestled in her arms, and gaze out of the window. In those moments of reflection, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the unexpected twists life had taken. The heartwarming days spent with the baby were a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. As they navigated the joys and challenges of parenthood together, Evelyn, Sarah, and Jake found that the truest and most enduring wealth was the love they shared, a love that would continue to grow and flourish in the days, months, and years that lay ahead. Months rolled by and the once nursery transformed into a haven of laughter, soothing lullabies, and the delightful chaos that accompanies a growing family. Evelyn, Sarah, Jake, and the baby formed a close-knit bond, each day a testament to the enduring strength of love. Evelyn, who had once been cast aside, now found solace and fulfillment in the laughter of the little one. The past was a distant memory overshadowed by the warmth of the present. The family celebrated milestones together, cherishing every smile, every giggle, and the precious moments that wove the fabric of their shared journey. One sunny afternoon, the family gathered in the living room, the baby gurgling happily in Sarah's arms. Evelyn, looking at the scene before her, couldn't help but reflect on the twists and turns life had taken. "Sarah, Jake," Evelyn began, her eyes sparkling with joy. "I never imagined life could take such beautiful turns. You've given me more than I could have ever asked for." Jake, with a smile, responded,
"And you've given us the most precious gift, family. We're so grateful for you, Evelyn."
The baby, oblivious to the sentiments, added a delightful babble to the conversation, completing the symphony of their happy home. As they sat together, Evelyn felt a profound sense of contentment. The wounds of the past had healed, replaced by the love and security she found within the walls of her new home. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into years. Evelyn, Sarah, and Jake navigated the challenges of parenthood, shared laughter during family dinners, and created a lifetime of memories that would forever bind them together. One day, as they sat in the backyard watching the baby take its first steps, Evelyn spoke from the heart. "Life is a beautiful journey, and I couldn't have asked for better companions. You filled my days with love and happiness." Sarah, hugging Evelyn, replied, "And you've enriched our lives in ways we can't put into words. We're a family in every sense of the word, and we wouldn't have it any other way." The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the trio. At that moment, they realised that the truest form of wealth wasn't found in property or possessions, but in the love shared among them. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Evelyn, Sarah, Jake, and the little one, nestled in their arms, looked forward to the future with hearts full of gratitude. They had weathered storms, conquered challenges, and emerged victorious, united by the unbreakable bonds of love. And as the years passed, the happiness within the walls of their home only grew stronger. Evelyn, Sarah, and Jake, and the little one forged a bond that transcended bloodlines, a bond woven with threads of love, understanding, and unwavering support. In the warmth of their shared laughter and the embrace of family gatherings, Evelyn's heart found a home, a place where the echoes of her past hardships faded into the background. The once abandoned grandmother was now the heart and soul of a home filled with the joys of everyday life. On special occasions like birthdays and anniversaries, the family would gather around, their smiles a testament to the love that had triumphed over adversity. Evelyn, watching her family grow, felt a profound sense of contentment, a feeling that lingered in every corner of the house they had transformed into a haven of love. In the quiet moments, Evelyn would sit on the porch, a gentle smile playing on her lips as she reminisced about the winding journey that had led her to this place. The old wounds had healed, leaving behind scars that told a story of resilience and triumph. Their home became a sanctuary where the laughter of children and the wisdom of elders coexisted harmoniously. The little one, now not so little anymore, flourished under the love and guidance of the family that had embraced him from the beginning. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over their lives, Evelyn couldn't help but reflect on the words her mother once told her.
No matter how tough the journey, there's always room for a happy ending.
And indeed, their story had a happy ending, a conclusion that proved the transformative power of love, forgiveness, and the indomitable spirit that resides within the human heart. Evelyn's journey, which has started with abandonment and sorrow, had blossomed into a tapestry of joy, warmth, and a legacy of love that would be cherished for generations to come.